Hello and welcome back to another rally testing video. This one is a little bit special. All the cars in this video were featured in the Southern San Andreas Super Sport Series DLC. It's a bit of a mouthful. And you may probably know by now that they all have these handling flags that Rockstar introduced just in this update. I'll leave a link by Bruffy here just to explain about all these handling flags and what they mean. But for this testing, I did it in single player, imported the Rallycross track into single player, and modded the game so that the handling flags were no longer on these cars. This was all done on PC, of course. So this is how, you could say, this is how the cars should perform. So in the top right, you've got the time that the car achieves now, and the green number is how much quicker it is compared to standard GTA Online. So the Fagaloa here is 1.2 seconds quicker without the handling flags. Now don't get me wrong, it's still slow, it's still last in the little rally class, but a 1.2 second gain is a lot of time. Now the Futo here and the Warrener have both lost a position. You can see there in the brackets is where the car used to be, because the Issi Classic has jumped up to 17th and is a whopping 2.3 seconds per lap quicker without the handling flags. That is a huge amount of time. 2.3 seconds over a minute lap time is insane for the same car, just without the handling flags. And the car feels so much better to drive. It's not revving all over the place, the engine revs aren't going up and down, and it's a lot less twitchy and you can control it better. It's just so much nicer to drive. I think of all the cars, this is one of my favourites without the handling flags, because it just feels so much nicer. And I think this shows you just how much the flags are affecting these new cars. So a 101.0 here puts it just ahead of the Warrener, as we've already seen. And there's going to be a few changes coming up now as well, because the car that used to be a bit higher up has now been overtaken by a couple of other cars from this update. The 190Z is now in 16th place instead of 14th place, because the Cheburek has gained 1.2 seconds from its time in GTA Online. Now the Cheburek's a little strange, because the gain in speed actually makes it quite slidey. It's quite difficult to control sometimes, which it wasn't really in the standard testing. I think just the difference in speed that the car can achieve makes cornering a little bit more tricky sometimes. As you can see just there's a few slides going around the road sections there. But still, a gain of 1.2 seconds is not insignificant. And like I say, it puts it into 15th place. Now, the next car that we're going to see is the Michelli GT. I think out of all of these cars, the Michelli GT was the most disappointing, in my opinion, because it really should be up there with the retinue, because it's got good off-road traction loss, and it's got the rally styling, and it's kind of a visual competitor to the retinue, you could say. But it was just, the lap time was terrible. It was so slow because of these handling flags, and it does gain quite a lot of time, 1.9 seconds as you can see, but that's not enough for it to be competitive with the retinue and the Silvestre that's behind the Sterling GT, which is still a shame. It's nicer to drive, it feels a lot more planted, and I think you can get more out of it without these handling flags. There must just be something within the car that's just not there, top speed perhaps, or something like that, because it's 3/10 off the Silvestre and 8/10 I believe off the retinue, which is quite significant when you think that these cars are stylistically similar. It's just, I think it would be my favourite out of the three, and if the flags were removed and this car was the pace it is here, I think I would use this in sports classic rally races over the other two, but it wouldn't be competitive really. Now we're going to take a little bit of a jump here up to the very top of the leaderboard, because the Comet Safari has been pushed down to 3rd place from 2nd place, because the GB200 gains 4 places. I did say in the original testing video that this car would be a lot faster without the handling flags, and it's turned out to be true. 1.2 seconds here puts it 53.0, which is quite a lot faster than the cars that it used to be behind. The Comet Safari there got a 53.7 and the GB200 gets a 53.0. That's quite a big difference really, considering that these cars were so balanced at the top. From 6th to 2nd were very close in time. Without these flags, the GB200 just gained so much over the others. It does feel a lot better to drive. It's still very twitchy and still it feels like it wants to kill you basically most of the time. You try and turn into a corner, it will either oversteer and try and spin you out, or it will understeer, which you need to correct, and then it tries to spin you out, and yeah, it just feels like it's got a vendetta against you, but it's quite fun. Without the handling flags, it's a lot of fun to drive. Now, first place here, it was always going to be the Flash GT, but the difference in lap time really isn't that much compared to the other cars. Only 0.4 of a second. I think mainly that's because of the limitations of the track. It's very tight and it's very closed in. You're only going to be able to go so fast on this track, and I think this Flash GT without the handling flags is the limit of how fast you can go around this track. That's why the time difference isn't that much, because the standard Flash GT is so quick anyway that there wasn't really going to be as big a lap time gain, say for example from the Issi Classic of 2.3 seconds. We were never going to get that from the Flash, just because it would be impossible to go 2.3 seconds faster than it already did. One last thing that I want to mention is that if you're on PC and you fancy giving this a go yourself, removing these handling flags and seeing how any car from the Super Sport Series update performs, then I'll leave a link in the description to the mod on GTA 5 mods so you can try it out for yourself. Anyway, the bottom line would be that these cars are so much better without the handling flags, and I'm so glad I made this video because it just made me see that these cars are actually really good, and they could be so good in GTA Online, but unless Rockstar has a change of heart and decides to remove these flags, which personally I don't see happening, then we're never going to be able to drive them how they should be driven, which is a shame. Anyway, I hope this has been interesting and I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.